Good day or good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak about practical patterns in myopia control in the Philippines. I am a lecturer for STADA whose products are not mentioned in this report. These are my institutional affiliations: the University of the Philippines College of Medicine and its teaching hospital, the Philippine General Hospital, which houses the Centro Oftalmológico Jose Rizal. I'm also connected with the Medical City, St. Luke's Medical Center, the Manila Doctors Hospital, and the Galileo Surgery Center. This is more or less the gist of my report. Based on the World Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus, or the WISPOS, consensus statement in 2023, we will outline what works for myopia control. We will discuss some of the behavioral modifications the Philippines has done, mention briefly the effect of COVID-19 pandemic on myopia progression, and low concentration atropine for myopia control. So in the recent 2023 Myopia Consensus Statement from the World Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus, what appears to work in controlling myopia progression are behavioral modifications consisting of increasing time spent outdoors, reducing gadget time, as well as reducing near work. Atropine has been shown to be dose-dependent in controlling myopia progression and axial elongation of the globe. For optical interventions, what are reported to work for spectacles are the defocus, incorporated multi-segment spectacle lenses, or the DIMS, and the highly aspheric lenses, or the HAL spectacle lenses. These are to be differentiated from and are not the same as bifocal glasses, progressive addition lenses, peripheral plus defocus correcting spectacle lenses, which are all listed as having minimal or no effect. For contact lenses, there are two types of interventions: the soft multifocal contact lenses and orthokeratology. These contact lenses are different from daytime single vision contact lenses or rigid glass permeable contact lenses, which had little or no effect in reduction of myopia progression and axial length elongation in children. So what works in the practical sense for us in the Philippines? We will talk about behavioral modifications and low-dose atropine. I will not discuss optical or contact lenses, which are not practical patterns for controlling myopia progression in the country. So how did we get our children outdoors? In 2019, prior to the pandemic, the Philippine Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus embarked on the Claro project or campaign, calling on our children to resume playing under the sun for their eyes to stay clear. Claro stands for Kabataan Maglaro sa Araw, or a call for children to play under the sun. Upang mata ay manatiling malinaw means for eyes to stay clear. We created sensory pathways in playgrounds and school grounds. So what is a sensory pathway? Sensory pathways are colorful, creative, and playful way to build sensory pathways of the senses of sight, touch, sound, smell, and taste to the brain. These enable children to complete multi-stage tasks and develop motor skills of balance, coordination, and awareness while having fun. The Philippine Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus campaign was to promote the full concept of vision, from the faculty of being able to see clearly to the ability to think ahead and plan for the future with imagination and wisdom. This is achieved by encouraging children to play outdoors, decrease gadget use, and have fun under the sun, thereby promoting overall well-being, health of mind, body, sight, and emotion, building character, and developing healthy social interactions. Let us listen to this short video on the Claro project of the PISPOS.
Sa araw tayo'y maglaro, sa araw tayo'y maglaro.
The Peace Pause is now renewing its initiative now that the COVID pandemic is under better control and children have started to come out again. Children are also encouraged to play outdoor sports such as football and swimming. We have not gone to the extent of what our neighbors in Taiwan have done, that is, to take recess outside the classroom, but certainly it might be worth looking into. Neither have we uh, embarked on a national myopia prevention program such as the one in Singapore. The second behavioral modification is to reduce gadget time, and closely related to that is to reduce near work. In 2019, the Peace Pause campaign recommended that for 1 year old and below, no screen time should be done. Less than an hour per day for 2 year olds with adult supervision is acceptable. For 3 to 4 year olds, for less than an hour a day, adult supervised quality screen time may be permitted. For 5 years and older, guided screen time with adult supervision with frequent breaks in between was recommended. Before we could take off, the COVID-19 pandemic struck. So the Philippines COVID response gave us the longest enhanced community quarantine. Only essential personnel were allowed to move around, one adult per household on a schedule per week to go to the market or go to the grocery store. Children were not allowed to go outdoors. They were kept indoors most of the time and received educational instruction via online delivery. Some of the children only went back to school in 2021. Some schools continued to give online education. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on myopia progression in children has undergone systematic review and has indeed shown that during this period, the progression of myopia was related to reduced time spent outdoors, increased screen time, and the use of electronic devices and tablets. Although I have yet to see an actual study that this works, many of us recommend the 20-20-20 rule, which means every 20 minutes of near work, rest 20 seconds by looking 20 feet away at a relaxing target, of course, like a blue or green field. In the recent WISPOS 2023 consensus statement, early evidence also suggests that having a viewing distance of more than 20 centimeters may also appear to be protective. There are apps you can download. I use the 20.20.20 app on my iPhone and recommend this to my patients. It used to be free, but now one has to pay for it, but it is less than 500 pesos in local currency or less than 10 US dollars. It allows me to schedule the time that I am on the computer, and it gives me a reminder every 20 minutes to rest my eyes. It even has a countdown 20-second timer. What I found using this is that when you are on the computer, especially if in class or working on a project, 20 minutes is actually a short time. So also in the WISPOS 2023 statement, for children being homeschooled, early evidence suggests that using televisions or projectors, increasing the viewing distance also appears protective. So what about atropine? I was a non-believer of atropine, 0.01%, and still remain a skeptic at 0.02 to 0.05% that the LAMP studies recommend. In 2019, we made a study on the use of atropine for myopia control which we published in the Asian Journal of Ophthalmology in 2021. Briefly reviewing forest plot interpretation, vertical line 0 is the line of null effect. To the right favors treatment or intervention, in our case atropine, and to the left favors control. The figure diamond corresponds to the pooled or overall estimate on 95% confidence interval. Usually, bigger studies have more compact figures, and smaller studies will have wider ranges. This is the forest plot for myopia progression with subgroup analysis by concentration. To the right of the line of null effect favors atropine, while to the left favors control. Results show favorable outcomes for all atropine concentrations except for the 0.01% subgroup wherein the confidence interval crossed the midline, indicating that this intervention may or may not be favorable for slowing myopia progression. All other concentrations showed favorable results with a decreasing trend. This is the forest plot for increase in axial length. When the atropine is effective in controlling axial length elongation, there will be no change in axial length. Thus, the area of the graph that favors atropine is to the left of the line of null effect. All concentrations had favorable results except for the 0.01% subgroup, which had equivocal results. Likewise, there is a decreasing trend observed with decreasing concentration. So our conclusion was that atropine at 0.01% was equivocal in reducing myopia and axial length elongation. We recommended RCTs or randomized clinical trials to study 0.01, 0.02, and 0.05%. So in almost like magic, the lamp was born as if they heard our whispers. Nonetheless, when patients ask about atropine, I help them with atropine. I discuss it with them, tell my bias, ask them of their commitment of at least 2 years when it was 0.01%. Now I tell them the LAMP studies are not done yet. They are telling us we need to increase the dose and continue even up to 3 years, and the end has not even been determined. So in the Philippines, atropine eye drops comes in one concentration, 1%. And even this will be periodically protracted by drug company or supply chain woes. Reduced strength atropine in 0.01 to 0.1% concentrations are not available unless someone brings it in from a foreign country and dispense this directly to patients. So to make 1% atropine to 0.01%, one needs to put 1 ml of atropine in 99 ml of diluent. Scale it down proportionately to a 5 ml bottle. One removes 0.05 ml from the bottle of diluent and add in 0.05 ml of atropine to the remaining 4.95 ml. Of course, one can buy eye drops dispensing bottles, sterilize this, use a neutral liquid like balanced salt solution in the same proportion. But I like using the eye drops as it already has the preservative I need to keep this longer. I allow patients to use drops made this way to give this a shelf life of about 1 month from reconstitution. Some of my local colleagues have in-house hospital pharmacists that make their low-dose atropine for them. This is a tuberculin or 1 ml syringe one can use to aspirate 0.05 ml. If you have the 0.5 ml tuberculin syringe, that's even better. So if you want stronger preparations, this table shows how to reconstitute low-dose atropine in the usual concentrations of 0.01, 0.02, and 0.05%. I usually start patients on 0.01% on a weekend. If that is tolerated, I advise them to put 2 drops in the eye instead of 1, 5 minutes apart to get 0.02% in their system. Subsequent bottles are reconstituted as 0.02% so that they can go back to 1 drop at night application. I have not gone to this extent but made computations using the atropine ampule with concentrations of 1 milligram per ml. I cannot imagine running out of atropine ampule. This actually ends my presentation on the practical patterns of myopia control that we use in the Philippines. Spectacle lenses modification, the defocus incorporated multi-segment spectacle lenses, and the highly aspherical lenses, which appears to work on the WISPOS 2023 statement, I don't consider as practical. If I'm not mistaken, these are not yet available in the country. Locally, what we have are the peripheral plus the focus correcting spectacle lenses, which are listed as having minimal or no effect and even command a hefty price tag. As for contact lenses, I will not call them practical, but I do have a handful of patients I have referred to our local friendly optometrist well versed with this for soft multifocal lenses management at the patient's request. As for orthokeratology, before my patient reaches this point where corneas are damaged, I admonish them about orthokeratology and its potential complications, then sign off from a patient who insists on using orthokeratology. I cannot help them with their refraction as this changes at different times of day. Of course, when they get to this point with complications, I will help them get the care they need and co-manage them with our cornea colleagues. These are my references. Thank you again for inviting the Philippines to speak in your conference.